This is Past the Rock.
Yeah, I was gonna say, if you need us to fill in time, I have the perfect idea.
Oh, go ahead. I like that.
All right. It's time for Caesar's karaoke.
Oh, God.
All right.
What do we got?
Here we go.
This is Past the Rock.
Well, my girl's in the next room. Sometimes I wish she was you. I guess we never really moved on. It's really good to hear your voice. Say my name, it sounds so sweet. Coming from the lips of an angel, hearing those words, it makes me weep.
I'm sure you recognize that one. A little hinder, Lips
Jake?
of an Angel for the Los Angeles Angels.
What the Rock is cooking!
Tied for
First place, Texas Rangers.
Recording live from 3 locations, this is Past the Rock. I'm Patrick, and as always, I'm joined by two... Didn't write it down again. I had it. It was on the top of my head. Two... Oh,
It
fuck
takes
off.
two to make it go right.
Two great men. We're going to go back to great, because I just ruined all that, so...
It's okay.
I was
I am feeling
too
a little
busy.
greater than usual today,
was too
as
busy
everybody
staring
can
at...
see.
Yeah, staring at Bethke and LeBron and Kobe and a
Some other
plethora of other
legends, too.
NBA figures in the back that I can't make out because I have
Don't
bad
forget to
eyesight.
mention
They're far away.
Pikachu. Pikachu's back
There's
there.
Yeah, Pikachu and
Eevee.
Eevee.
Oh,
Yeah,
hey,
yeah.
this is a Texas Rangers podcast. You see that up there? That is an official Texas Rangers program from 1980. 1980.
Okay, cool.
You got
Oh, nice.
Mr. Russell and Kevin Garnett after they won the title in 08. That's original. Kept that myself. And then I've got to
Mr.
have the
Claus.
boss looking over me.
I love
Got to
that.
have the boss looking over me at all
Mm.
times.
I love
What's
that.
the flask?
Oh, the flask is cool as shit, too. I bought that in college.
That's a what? That's Crown Royal?
Crown Royal
Ooh.
NBA. Got the
Officially
basketball.
licensed.
Look at it. That's how you know it's
Fancy.
real. I've used it. Yeah, beautiful. And it actually feels like a basketball.
Why would they
texture.
make that?
Does it
I
bounce?
think there's a crossover here, and I'm just gonna let the audience figure that out on their own.
That's what I love when I'm playing basketball. Some Crown Royal.
I think you'd be surprised listening to the players how much that actually might go on. And there's also Kyrie. You got a little Kyrie back there.
Oh yeah. I'll set up my cool stuff for next week.
All
or
of the
whatever.
little guys are crazy, though. We won't get into those. They all look terrible. They were like these little 90s things that were really popular, but none of the people ever looked like what they were supposed to look like.
You could record us a little PTR cribs, and we could post that on YouTube as a short
Okay.
or something. That might be funny.
We'll get views
Okay.
just because of the cats.
And that's always a good idea. Hashtag cats on everything.
Yep,
Um,
exactly.
honestly, I should just start writing hashtag cats on everything.
Do you like those people on social media that'll just tweet something and then hit and then tag everything that's trending?
Yeah, and I wanted to bring this up. You guys, I don't know why neither of you guys have scolded me for this. I don't use enough hashtags at all. I don't think I put hashtags in anything.
It
I need to
depends
start
on what
using
you use. Some of the hashtag stuff is a little outdated at this point.
Yeah, at this point.
Fair, but not using it at all, then it's just yelling into a void, an absolute void with no one to see it.
On YouTube, for sure, I think you use the bottom ones. You have to Google it now, though, because
I'm
it really does.
I'm also thinking of X. So
Yes. X, it matters, but honestly, X, now you have to, if you don't pay, you're going to get buried anyway.
yeah, that's
So, like,
very likely the case.
so it's one of those things where X is, that's why X is what it is.
I'm pretending scolding you. I'm really scolding myself for just never doing it.
The artist formerly known as Twitter. is what I'm calling it.
Yeah, and you get emails from them. They still come from Twitter, which is a little confusing.
Or X/Twitter. I get that sometimes.
Well,
Sent from.
I didn't have too much of a unnecessary banter this week. Just thought I'd hop
Not
right
yet.
into the big part of I mean we'll get there. The big part of what my week was, which was seeing the Rangers lose 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 games in a row now.
Yep.
Yeah.
Mercifully getting a night off tonight, which is Wednesday. They'll be back playing on Thursday in Minnesota, and hopefully that this night off and gives them a chance to just take some breaths. Remember, it's just a game. They got 50 more of them or whatever it is. It's probably like 30 more of them. Let's go back out there and hold on to the lead that they still have. So a bad week, but you've put yourself in such a good position that even after losing 6 straight games, you're still in first place, depending on what the Astros do tonight. So yeah,
You'll probably keep an eye on that too.
Yeah, and how bad have the Astros handled this? Because I know that they hadn't really taken it much.
Yeah, I mean they brought it back to a half game, so they've gained 2 games on us in the last week.
After 6 losses, that's not the worst case.
No, and that's
There's
kind of been the thing.
Charging in them recently as well.
Right, and that's a new element to this is Seattle. Seattle swept Houston. They've gone on to pretty much continue winning. I think they've lost 1 or 2 of the last 10 games. So now Seattle's just a couple games back for the division lead as well. And so with the remaining, let me get my math right. 6. The Rangers have played 126. They got 36 games left. 3 of those
some beautiful
against,
mind shit.
Yeah. Well, when you do 162, I've done that math a lot in my head for my whole life.
I've seen 82 broken down a billion times, and I still fuck it up so often during the season. So I applaud that.
Well, so the Rangers have their 36, 3 against Houston, and 7 more against Seattle. So they are in control of their own destiny still, very much so. And even if things don't go well as in terms of winning the division, they're still in a great spot to just be in the playoffs, which obviously at this point you kind of want to just win the division since you're here. But if you're looking at what we were thinking about before the season, there's a lot of ways this could go that wouldn't necessarily be a down year. Just feel down because of how well things were looking coming up. But it's not over. I don't want to just I'm not throwing in the towel. I'm just, trying to give myself some perspective of not panicking, honestly. Of trying to not panic. Of looking at the long term.
How many road games? Has this been a split? Did we get swept here? These are all road games.
We overall are much better at home, but we did lose the 3 against Milwaukee at home, and then the 2 against Arizona were on the road.
Good. Now we're going to beat the trash can allegations. That's all I'm really looking for right now.
Yeah, I think we're fine on that.
Never know. Never know. I'm just saying. I talked a lot of shit, so I'm trying to hope that I didn't put bad karma onto the team. You know what I mean?
Yeah, and a frustrating part of it is that the offense has just gone cold, absolutely cold, and not even necessarily a general cold, but like with when there's opportunities to score, they've gone cold because they're getting guys on base still, they're just leaving them there, which is very frustrating to watch, especially when you have guys that are really good at baseball. You wouldn't think missing Josh Young should mean that much to the full lineup, but it almost feels like it does at this point.
Yeah, I mean, that does take a big piece out of it. But at the same time, I guess the way I'm looking at it is it's bad. There's no way to not be, too doom and gloomy. But
I would say these games have been bad.
Right. This stretch is on me.
But this is not bad.
What I'm interested in, and here's maybe the devil's advocate, maybe I'm the idiot, so this is just me getting lucky, stumbling on it. But I'm just like, isn't it kind of cool that it's our bats letting the pitchers down a little bit now? That's new.
Yeah, and unfortunately there is still some element of the bullpen doing it too, so that's kind of expected. But yes, it is. it's
It's new
Yeah.
unless you are a
But it
fan of
has
Yu
been-
Darvish.
For most of these 6 games, it's felt more of a hitting responsibility problem than the relief, although they have had their moments.
it's more, I think, because we expect more of the hitting that we would always feel that way. But like some of that's like, well, if the pitchers didn't give up 9 runs in the game, then the Rangers only scoring 8 wouldn't have felt like a problem. So it's both, it's everything, and that's where you see why it's been 6 games in a row, is because it's kind of everything all at once. But Uvalde should be coming back soon. You still got Montgomery. You still got Gray. Things should be fine. I'm not overly concerned. Obviously, I would have liked to take advantage of the Astros getting swept by the Mariners, but that didn't happen, and now we got to move on and win the games we can win in front of
Who
us.
the fuck is the Mariners' best player?
Julio. Oh my God, is it Rodriguez? Now I'm going to sound like an asshole.
I think it is.
Okay, now, I didn't mean to say. I actually was the asshole, but okay, I have heard that.
No, you're
anyways.
fine. He's really young. He signed one of the craziest deals. I think we
Okay,
talked
yeah,
about it
I have
last
heard.
summer
Okay,
when it
that's
happened.
probably how I heard about it. All right, yeah.
It's like
Yeah, because he's 22 years old.
yeah, and he signed this deal that's anywhere from like 4 to 12 years, depending on if certain things happen. And he's gonna get paid so much money. Baseball money is so crazy, especially when you're one of those guys. He's set.
Yeah.
And he's really good, and they have an incredible pitching staff. So that's gonna be fun.
Look at his career WAR. His career WAR is stupid.
what
It's
is
10.8.
Well,
Nice.
so this is a nice stretch in this next. What are the Twins? I don't know shit about the Twins. I know the Mets have
So
had a
they're-
hell of a year. Not
the
in a good
Twins
way.
are in the Twins are in first place in the AL Central, which is the
So they're
weakest
decent,
of the 3 divisions. If you were ranking the whole American League at once, which obviously they play different schedules where you play your division more or whatever, but they would still be 1, 2, 3, 4, 6, 7. They would be 8th of the. So they're about halfway down. Yeah, they're okay. They're not terrible. They're not great. They're probably going to the playoffs because they've got a 4.5 game lead over Cleveland, who is nothing. But the Twins will probably be someone who gets knocked out very early in the playoffs.
Well, all right. Well, then I like that it's at least a solid test right away. And then the Mets are still in shit show territory, or
Yeah, I mean the Mets. Are you asking me about the Mets or the Yankees?
we have the Mets coming up, right?
Do we?
Yeah,
Did I miss?
it's
did I miss reading the
Minnesota. Yeah, I'm
schedule?
looking at the schedule. It's Minnesota for
Okay.
4 games.
I guess I just forgot that we were playing the Mets this
But
year.
we're still away.
Yeah, no, the Mets are floundering worse than most teams, especially post trade deadline.
We got the Twins. Okay, so we're bookending the Twins with the Mets, and then getting into Houston.
Yeah, and then while we're in this stretch, I think the Mariners are going up against the 2 worst teams outside of Oakland in the American League, with the White Sox and the Royals.
At this
Now,
point,
the Mariners did lose last night on a very funny play. I'll send it to you guys later.
please do.
Is it Tim Anderson?
No, that's the dude
think
from the
his
White
name is-
Sox that got smoked.
Yeah, that's him. It was him.
Oh, okay.
He was stealing second base, and then I guess he just continued to run. I kind of missed it. He might have already been on second base, and the catcher was trying to pick him off. I was a little confused. But anyways, when they try to throw to third, as he's on his way to third, the ball goes off his helmet, and he gets to go home and score, and they win. And that was hilarious.
That's a better thing to go viral for than getting your ass beat.
For sure. And then, honestly, getting your ass beat's not that bad if you handle it better than he did for the next 24 hours, where someone should have just kept him off of all devices. But, we all make mistakes, so what are you going to do?
Go to the Texas
kind of
Chili Company hot dog day at the ballpark in Arlington.
That's kind of the state of where the team's at right now. But I did want to mention some individual stuff because we don't really cover too many specifics with them. But I thought I saw some fun and cool numbers to look at. So WAR, which Caesar mentioned earlier, and anyone who doesn't know means wins above replacement, which means you're worth that many extra wins to your team, basically. So in the entire league right now, the Rangers have second and third place in WAR. Do you guys have any guesses on who that might be?
Yes, Corey Seager.
Yes.
Nice.
And the other guy
okay.
plays very close to him.
Marcus Simeon?
Yes.
Oh,
The two
damn.
guys.
It's almost like paying money is a good thing.
Who would have thought that outside of Ohtani, the two most valuable players in baseball right now, at least on that stat, were guys that we picked up, and everyone said, "Why are you picking these guys up? What are you doing?" And yeah, so
Win
we're locked in
games.
on.
That's what we're doing.
They won't say the same when we acquire that third player.
Well, and actually, this is a nice detour of something I wasn't planning on talking about, and I should see what is going on right now in the MLB. So the Yankees. I don't know if you guys have heard anything about this today, about what's going on up in the Bronx.
Uh-oh. The Bronx
Oh.
Bombers.
Oh, well, it looks like they're gonna be all right. They're up 7-0 right now, but the Yankees have lost 9 games in a row for the first time since 1982, I think.
So Aaron Boone's about to be gone.
Maybe 92. And then going into tonight, if they lose tonight, although they are up 7-0 right now, but if they lose tonight, it'll be the most games they've lost in a row since 1913.
Damn.
So yeah, there's probably going to be some shakeups happening, and when shakeups happen in New York, that means a lot of money is probably going out, and a lot of money is probably getting thrown at Ohtani. So the demise of this year's Yankees might not be a good sign for the future of baseball, but we'll see. Actually, it's probably a good sign for the future of baseball, but not for non-Yankee fans.
Yeah, I agree with that, because honestly, I want to participate in this hate, but as a Cowboys fan, I feel irresponsible when I do that.
But ultimately, like, we were thinking of Ohtani as if he's an American baseball player, which he's not. So he might just say, "I'll take 2/3 of that to live in LA instead of New York." Yeah, if I don't know, if New York's offering him 70, 80 a year, I'm sure he would take 60 to just be a Dodger. I think he would prefer it out there. It seems more of relaxed for everybody to live out there. New York sounds awful. I don't know.
Well, and it also sounds like
for someone who's that famous,
he would almost be wanting to chase like that legacy, right? Because like it doesn't even make sense for him if you believe the rumors that he wants to be on the West Coast anyway. You know what I mean? So that he has easier travel back and forth.
And I mean, just for TV, your games are easier to see, that kind of thing.
Yeah, I mean, but you still have the East Coast bias, so it's not like there isn't a perk to being on the East Coast.
Well, I think nowadays, I don't know. I think nowadays LA is fine for that.
LA is awesome for sports fans. I think for the sports media, though, there is still a little bit of a bitch, or like West Coast in general, not necessarily just LA.
Yeah, not that, and I don't know. I just don't know enough about Ohtani. But that's just.
Probably no one does. That's why we have all these rumors.
I thought that if he decided he just wants to be money whips, there's a team that has the most money. Imagine if Jerry Jones was just allowed to just unload. And then you'd have that. He was allowed to unload a lot, and that's how he got at least 4 children.
Oh, that was good.
Or that he had to keep. Or that he had to keep. For now. That number can always, as we've learned, grow.
And that's something that, we judge Jerry for, but what do you think about it? Like, how many people are there out there that are secretly Beatles kids,
Oh, a lot of celebrities and stuff. I mean, that's why we don't. That's why I'm very when I do the historical stuff and I think about what topics I want to broach in NBA history, the fatherhood situation is probably going to stay dead fucking last because there's a lot of lore out there, but I do not want to get into it. I'm not involved in it. I don't want to connect dots.
What about Gary Trent and his dad?
Some of them are fine. Dirk already spilled the beans on some of these things. What's it called? We already know Jimmy Walker was Jalen Rose's dad because Jalen talks about it. But there's one particular guy who might be above one of my shoulders that we don't know exactly who his father was, but there's plenty of reckless speculation about it in history. So,
Hey, we already know that that Jimmy is the son of the GOAT.
well, there's no Jimmy Butler behind me yet. Actually, there is a Jimmy. I have the Jimmy Butler. Do I have the Jimmy Butler or that? I can't remember. There's one that they do side by sides Photoshop. It's Jimmy Butler and Ant-Man. They're the same Photoshop, but obviously, I have one of them that rotates on that little picture. I don't have Super Mario though. I don't know what that's about.
The one true heir to Michael Jordan, at least in terms of basketball skill, is Jimmy Butler. I will not be swayed otherwise.
I mean, like I said, I think I'm not going to broach that subject too much because if it was the same with rock stars and shit, like there's some honestly, like Nora Jones's dad is like that. Like there's some cool ones when you look at nepotism and how that shit works. Liv Tyler was definitely like Steven Tyler definitely wasn't a good dad, and then like his daughter was kind of getting famous, and he was like, "I'm gonna be a dad now." That one's crazy.
Make her sexy in my music videos.
That he didn't have to do, but in fairness, he did launch her career and give her like she made hella bank in the '90s. She made hella like come on. Armageddon was a big movie.
That's why
I'd
we
say it
got
was
the
a good
Fast and
movie.
Furious franchise, right? I mean, like,
Yeah, damn.
there's
Well,
the
she's not in that.
domino.
But yeah, she.
No, I just mean, didn't Michael Bay do Armageddon?
Oh, Michael Bay didn't do Fast and Furious, but yeah, he is responsible for that kind of shit. You're right.
I feel like he's the good.
And by the way, we refer to Michael Bay as the guy who created what's it called, the fucking heist movie, not because that's really where he got his ability to do whatever the fuck he wanted. What is that movie called? Heat. Right?
Wait,
Or is
did he
that,
do
no, that's
Heat?
Michael Mann. That's Michael Mann, isn't it?
I was like, I don't think Michael Bay's old enough to have done Heat.
That is Michael Mann. My fault. Yeah, too many Michaels in the game.
Yeah, no, we're talking Transformers. We're talking.
I thought he had a good movie before he started.
Yeah,
doing
he did
all
Armageddon.
The boo-boo.
He did
So
Armageddon.
was.
Pearl Harbor.
Oh, he
which
did. Oh my god.
Does not hold up.
Michael Bay has fucked our summers up relentlessly. I forgot.
Yeah, that's his thing, man.
He did The Rock.
Oh, hell yeah. Okay. That's redeemable. The Rock is an amazing movie. Bro.
Bad Boys.
Don't talk about The Rock like that.
I like Bad Boys.
Bad Boys. Oh, okay. Yeah. That's what I was thinking of. Is Bad Boys.
That's his like intro, basically.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah.
All right.
And that makes sense because all of his movies are like that. He looks like such a tool too, but that's a different story.
But I did want to I want to cut back to some of these baseball stats before I forget, because there was some interesting stuff in here as far as guys on this team who are top of the league, some of which you might not expect.
Top of the line.
Most of which you do. But like on base percentage, the Rangers have 2 in the top 10. Corey Seager, although I think he's like flirting with the number of at bats to be qualified or whatever because he missed so much of the beginning of the season. And Nate Lowe is number 7 in on base percentage this year, which just means the percentage of times you get on base. Basically. In total hits, Marcus Semion's 2nd in the league. Nate Lowe's up there at 7th again. So those 3 guys, which is 1st, 2nd, and short, they're all top of the league, and that's really fun. And then you have obviously Adolis Garcia is 3rd in home runs right now, despite being in a bit of a slump, still sitting in 3rd. Although now he's 12 behind Ohtani, so he's probably not catching that guy.
I mean, there's just some years where you don't worry about it, and this is just one of those years.
But this is a funny stat that I've never heard of, and I don't think anyone uses it, but it's just a funny one on Baseball Reference called offensive win percentage, which they say basically means if a team had 9 guys that were all this guy, this is how many games they'd win.
Oh, okay.
So the highest ranked Ranger is number 8, which is Marcus Simeon at a 635 win percentage. It's very respectable.
Okay.
I'm going to do some cheater calculator math to find out what that means in actual wins.
45, 67.
102 wins.
He's worth 102 wins, basically.
If you had 9 Marcus Simeons, you'd win 102 games. He's 8th place. In 10th place, Nathaniel Lowe at 629.
That's only for like batting stats, I guess, is what they is. So none of the defensive stats
yes.
plays into it.
This is offensive win win
I get how it
percentage.
works.
So that's the 2 Rangers. But number 1 in the league, if you have any guesses, who do you think would be the best to have 9 of?
Ohtani.
Yeah, and if you had 9 Ohtanis, they claim that you would win
What, like 80% of your games?
That's like your pitching staff too.
130 games. Yeah,
Jeez.
807 win percentage.
What's the defensive one?
I've never heard of that stat before. Yeah, I wonder if that even exists on here. I'm on it probably does. So give me 1 second.
I feel like you can actually statistically
Well, 'cause,
analyze
like-
defense in baseball better than you can in other sports.
Well, I mean, because they keep errors. You have turnovers in basketball, but you don't get like this guy missed a screen or this guy got hit by a screen. Well, actually, someone's probably keeping track of that kind of stuff now, but
Kinda, yeah. But there's also
It's
some
not-
turnovers
they're
that
not
don't
as
get
far
awarded,
along.
right? Yeah.
and yeah, that's a big problem I have, especially with like not necessarily with fantasy, but just with NFL stats in general. Of like some of that just doesn't make sense. Like if a QB kneels, that shouldn't be a -1 run.
It should be because that's unpatriotic.
If he throws the ball to a receiver who catches it, then gets hit, throws it up in the air, and the other team catches it, probably shouldn't be on the those kind of things.
But there's also sack. Do sacks count against a quarterback in fantasy? They do,
Yes.
right?
I don't
Yeah,
think
yeah,
I
yeah,
don't
yeah.
know.
Yeah, because it's negative.
I don't
Well,
yardage.
it depends
Uh,
on the fantasy league and how.
Well, no,
in-depth
because that's
you wanna
not
get.
considered a rush. In the way
That is a
kneeling
fan,
is.
but that should be a quarterback stat. Most of the time, sacks are.
But
Sometimes it's not.
but even in baseball, like you have a clearly biased person at every ballpark deciding if something's a hit or an error. So there is a little bit of that too. It's not as clean as you might think. I'm trying to figure out if they have a pitcher equivalent of that. If your entire staff was one guy or whatever, but 1 second.
This is for the fans of the body.
Yeah. Yeah, this isn't going well. Sorry.
No, it's all right. No, this is just me filling in dead time with whatever I can to
I thought
I
this,
can
thought
fill
this
in
would
that
work.
time.
I'm
Here we go.
Look, baseball's a stats-oriented business. We
I
gotta
don't-
be in the
I don't think it really.
stats-oriented business.
I don't think it really exists for staffs, but I can give you what I think is one of the most important stats that doesn't have any Rangers. So never mind. Rangers are
Wait.
not doing well in the pitching.
Maybe it is an important stat all of a sudden. I don't
Oh,
know,
if you're
man.
looking at if
I'm
you're
down
looking
with
at
this
WAR,
franchise, but
I wasn't looking at WAR yet. I was looking at walks and hits per inning pitched.
Listen,
which is
if you still
usually
need-
a very telling stat.
This is Past Correct.
Right? Oh no, even more
hang on.
wild. And I doubt he'll ever hear this. But like, all right. As we're filling in airtime for Patrick, one time I was the and just so for some background context, I was the team manager or whatever, equipment manager for the team or whatever. And he also happens to be my AP US history teacher. I go up to his desk, right? Because I got to ask him a question about like an assignment or some shit. And I peek at his desktop. And at the bottom, there's like an AOL chat. And on the AOL chat, he is clearly spitting game to one of the parents of the players.
a tradition unlike any other. That's I call that cutting. If you've watched The Wire, that's there you go, Patrick. That's what Cuddy would do.
I didn't mean to disrespect y'all like that. I just turned Cuddy into a Southern gentleman instead of whatever his actual
Baltimore.
accent is. I don't know if he actually has a Baltimore accent or not.
Yeah, I don't
can't
think he
really
did.
tell,
I don't
but-
think that character did because I think he's just an actor. Yeah,
No, I
he
think
did.
yeah, because I'm pretty sure he tried out for like Avon or something like that. I watched some of
Yeah.
the behind the scenes, but
Oh shit! I might need to get into some of that content. I still haven't read the book. I know there's a whole definitive book I need to buy.
I have
and
it.
shit.
Yeah, I have Homicide. It's cool. I've gotten like a third of the way into it,
Well, there's
and
two
then put
that-
it down like 2 years ago. Well, yeah, I have a
So you're-
Homicide. I don't know which
You
one
have
that
the
is, but
the one that David Simon wrote, right?
yeah.
Yeah, there was one like The Ringer, like one of the guys that works for The Ringer
where they
made like
go
a
back
big
through
fan
and watching
one.
it. Yeah, I've
Well, they
heard
did a
about that. I know.
podcast one, but I think they did a book for it as well.
No,
yeah,
for sure,
All
it
the pieces
exists, yeah.
matter. Jonathan
Yeah.
Abrams. Yeah, Jonathan Abrams wrote one of the best all-time basketball books that I am not going to waste time in search for right now, but I have Boys Among Men. That's all about the kids, all about the age restriction at the NBA and Spencer Haywood changing it, then Kobe and KG and all the guys that came around. Cool. There's a lot of Wire books actually.
Fun show.
Beautiful. Oh,
And I only
shit.
recommend it to people who are actually going to watch it. 'Cause if you're just looking at your phone, you're not going to get it. But other
Oh
than
yeah.
that,
I stopped recommending it. I just people ask me my favorite show. I say it. They want to watch it. They watch it. They don't. They don't.
yeah, for sure. Well, I wasn't ever able to find the actual stat that I was
also-
looking for, but go ahead.
There you go.
There it is.
You can barely see it. I found that on some fan made that and sold it. It's for the listeners. It's a collage of the Wire characters with pretty much everybody
Is that
you would
supposed to be
need.
McNulty in the center?
McNulty's
Okay,
in the
I see it well.
center.
Okay.
You got Marlowe
Omar
holding
to
two
his
guns. No, it's actually
That's Marlowe.
Marlowe. Yeah, Omar is. I think he's the. Yeah, you're not able to see Omar. Omar's actually hidden.
Okay.
He's got a shotgun here in the corner where the books are. But yeah,
Okay.
it's got a bunch of interesting characters that they left off though. I think there's no.
I mean, it's
I think-
tough.
There's no Avon. That was the problem. No Avon. I was like, ah.
Yeah, I mean, he's basically gone by.
I get it.
Spoil the show,
I get it.
But
I get it. Well, but he lasts longer than somebody else's.
yeah,
looking
but
at
also like
Mr.
Pops
Idris
it.
Elba's
he
over here in
just
that
had a
picture.
lot of screen time, though. He had a lot
That's
of
true.
screen time.
Most people
Heavy.
recognize The Wire with Idris too. So he's
Yeah.
like the guy from Game of Thrones, kind of. Except for he lasts.
Ned Stark.
I don't know. I've never seen a show. I just know that the only character
Sean
that I would
Bean.
recognize dies the first episode, and then it's the worst kept secret of all time.
Well, now
Probably
you
one of the
recognize
first.
other people, but just because they were in that.
But yeah, I've still never seen the show though, so I don't. Actually, I just found out recently that my dude from The Last of Us, that's where he started. I was like, I didn't know that. Pedro Pascal.
Oh yeah. You know,
I didn't realize that it was turning and burning people that well. Like, good for Game of Thrones. They've got a good
they got
post show
everybody.
alumni. Then they get Jason Momoa too. Wasn't that how he got into the superhero shit?
Yep. And Emilia Clarke got into Star Wars and Marvel since then, and James Bond, I think, and
Oh,
Terminator.
Damn.
She was not. I don't think she was in a Bond movie. I think I
Give
made
me the
that part up.
franchise. Yeah, she knows. She's like, I'm not that great of an actress, but I will get those franchise bags.
I like her.
I like when people do that. Well, but like if you're
Uh,
like a super actor, then you're like, I'm not touching those movies.
What's his name? Mother effer. Al Swearingen. Ian McShane.
Oh,
He's in one
yeah.
episode of Game of Thrones.
Word? Okay.
Yeah.
I mean, I love Ian McShane. He rarely disappoints. This was hard.
But Ed
I just,
Sheeran's also in one Game of Thrones episode, so you know.
so is Aaron Rodgers.
Oh yeah, he dies like a little bee. Yeah, he does. He died like a punk. I don't know why he
I
agreed
just
to
remember
do
him,
that.
but he wasn't like in his face. He was just like some character, I guess. I didn't know he died.
I think he's like running away as the hallway explodes, and then it like obviously the flame engulfs him as well,
Nice.
something like that.
Nice.
I laughed when I figured out that was what was happening.
Much like
Yeah,
the Packers'
that's
career.
I wasn't able to find the pitching stat I was looking for, so that's probably the last stat that I'm going to try to find. So that might be the end of baseball, unless you guys had anything that you missed that you talked about that you wanted to bring up.
Talking baseball. No, I mean,
we're
I'm
hoping Nate,
still.
we're hoping Nate Uvalde comes back soon, and we're just maybe not expecting it to be as good as it was there earlier in the year, but maybe just some swings and roundabouts. Just get it back up a little bit, and we'll be all right.
We're running our own race, Patrick. We can't be worried about the other teams. And at the end of the day,
36 more games.
Yeah.
yes, that's the biggest part. At the end of the day, we control our future in many ways. Very talented group. Obviously, if they miss the playoffs at this point, that would maybe be the only disappointment of the season.
That would be very bad.
That would probably be the only
difficult.
disappointment.
It'd be very difficult for them to do.
Hopefully. I haven't looked at the standings, but I've seen enough wins where you're projecting. You've been sending us these win projections if they kept on pace all year, and it's like, God damn, I knew they were winning. I didn't know they were winning. So I hope that it continues, but I'm not too worried about it with Young out. Not too worried about it with the way that shooting and swinging is similar when it comes to the percentages, the laws of averages and whatnot. They both apply to each equally, in my opinion. I think both sports kind of have the same philosophy there. So other than the guys like Duran that aren't really proven, I feel good about all the other guys coming back to form.
I got nothing else to add to that.
Well, fun. I can't remember when I'm going to the game. Sometime soon, but it's next month, so I don't have to. I'll review it. I'll review it after I go in a couple weeks.
Well, I'll definitely do a Rangers
said,
report on the stadium when I go.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. I forgot you hadn't been there yet. It's a pretty fun time.
I hope the game's a blowout so I can just spend most of the time exploring.
I'm trying to remember
out of places.
What else I had here? I feel like I had something else. I don't want to forget now and remember it later. No, that's pretty much it. I think we'll go ahead and pass the rock on to you, Bethke.
Oh, I'm literally live right there. So I guess the only.
Have you ever seen the Boo that the Lonely Island guys made, like way before they were all that famous?
No, is it like on YouTube?
Yeah, very low quality on YouTube, but it's a OC parody, and they're all like 3 minutes long. But the very first one, they're supposed to be doing like quote unquote 3D, and they're just like, "You were there." Sorry, that's what I thought of when you did that.
I might have to watch that because honestly, the OC is, that is cringe.
It's
content.
great. It's all the Lonely Island guys and Sarah Chalk, who's like the blonde girl in Scrubs. She's in it with them. They got her to
I haven't seen her in something lead for a while.
She's in Rick and Morty also, if you watch that, but it's okay.
I haven't. And it's not because people told me to stop watching recently. It's because I never put the initiative in to begin with. So I still am fine with Rick and Morty. I just have seen very few episodes, and most of them have been stoners putting them on for me. And I haven't.
No way.
I don't mind. I've experienced it the same way as when I was in college and I found out that Adventure Time was this massive thing, and I was like, "What the fuck is Adventure Time?" And I was like,
very different shows. Adventure Time's probably better, but
yeah, I enjoy that one. It's very, very quirky. But you know what wasn't enjoyed this week? James Harden's comments to Daryl Morey. We're going to do a brief follow-up here because there's not just a whole lot, but we did talk about it last week, so we might as well give you a follow-up. This is the only sort of NBA news you're going to get. We're not even going to worry about the W right now because everything's just chilling. Asia Wilson just tied the all-time points in a game record with 53. Little bullshit that she should have gone for the whole thing, but the Aces pulled her, whatever. Argur Satu Savali got injured, and then a fan in Minnesota jeered her. She jeered back and got two people kicked out. So I enjoyed that. Those are just fun little notes that happened this past week. Most of the standings look exactly the same, I think, as the last time we've talked about the W. That's what happens when there's only 12 teams. But James Harden. fined $100,000. Released the NBA definitely released a statement through Woj trying to make it seem like it was more about Daryl Morey, less about or more about the trade request, less about Daryl Morey. Thought that was interesting. Other than that, there's not too much. The NBA PA is going to go ahead and get into some litigation and try to get this knocked down or amended or whatever. But ultimately, I think the NBA is probably going to stand firm on that 100K. So unless you guys have anything to say about Chairman Harden and whether or not that's a beautiful background, whether or not Mr. Harden should
My first thought every time I see him.
Should he have received his fine or not? I saw both sides of that argument in the NBA Twitter world, the artist formerly known as Twitter. But ultimately, I don't have much to say because I don't think there's a whole lot other than you push the NBA's buttons, they're going to kind of push back, but not really. The NBA PA already did its job by making sure that all he can get fined is $100,000. So they're just going to do their job again by trying to appeal it, even though no one gives a shit if it actually gets won or not. And the Sixers still have to deal with this problem. So, yeah. Unless you guys have anything, let's talk World Cup.
That concludes part 1 of episode 28 of Pass the Rock. Join us, like us, subscribe us, share us with everyone you know. Thank you.
This is Pass the Rock.